Have you ever tapped your phone to pay for coffee and wondered what happens behind the scenes? Most people see only the familiar approve message, but what you're really witnessing is an invisible revolution, one that's reshaping the very foundations of how money moves around the world. Artificial intelligence is no longer a peripheral tool in finance. It has quietly become the backbone of global payments infrastructure, optimizing operations, enhancing security, and even redefining trust in the digital economy. But as AI Satu grows more capable, it also introduces new challenges. From fraudsters using AI Satu to mimic legitimate users, to the ethical and governance issues that come with autonomous systems. In this video, we're going to unpack how AI is transforming the global money movement, from fraud detection and customer experience to the future of autonomous commerce, and why this matters to every one of us in an increasingly digital world. The invisible force behind modern payments. Artificial intelligence has quietly shifted its role in the financial world. What once appeared as a specialized add-on, a nice-to-have feature layered on top of existing systems, has now become the invisible force holding modern payment infrastructure together. Today, AI Satu is no more longer something that supports payment systems from the sidelines. It is embedded directly into their core architecture, shaping how transactions are processed, secured, optimized, and interpreted in real time. According to executives from Discover Network and WorldPay, this transformation is not incremental, it is structural. Judith McGuire, Senior Vice President of Global Products at Discover Network, explains that AI Satu's most significant impact is not limited to automation, but to how financial institutions fundamentally operate. She highlights three critical areas where AI is redefining payments: customer service, back office optimization, and data-driven decision-making. In customer service, AI Satu changes the tempo and quality of interaction. Rather than replacing human agents, AI Satu systems work alongside them, analyzing customer history, transaction behavior, and contextual signals in real time. This allows agents to respond faster, anticipate issues before they escalate, and provide solutions that feel personalized rather than scripted. The result is not just efficiency, but a shift in expectations. Support becomes proactive instead of reactive. Behind the scenes, AI Satu plays an even more transformative role. Back office operations, traditionally burdened by manual reconciliation, compliance checks, and repetitive verification tasks, are increasingly automated through machine learning systems. These systems handle high-volume, low-judgment work at machine speed, freeing human teams to focus on oversight, strategy, and exception handling. What used to take hours or days can now happen in seconds, reducing operational friction across the entire payment lifecycle. But perhaps AI's most profound contribution lies in its ability to unlock the hidden value of data. Modern payment networks generate massive volumes of information with every transaction: timestamps, locations, device signals, behavioral patterns, and contextual metadata. On their own, these data points mean little. AI Satu is what turns them into insight. By identifying patterns and correlations across millions or even billions of transactions, AI systems help institutions understand not only what is happening in their networks, but why it is happening. Ian Hillis, Senior Vice President of Growth at WorldPay, emphasizes this point by describing AI Satu as a layer that abstracts complexity. Payment platforms operate within an ecosystem of legacy systems, regulatory constraints, cross-border rules, and rapidly evolving consumer expectations. Reinventing the entire infrastructure from scratch is neither realistic nor desirable. Instead, AI acts as a connective tissue, streamlining processes, optimizing decision paths, and allowing platforms to scale without collapsing under their own complexity. This shift is not isolated to Discover Network or WorldPay. It mirrors a broader transformation across the financial services industry. As digital payments become faster and more interconnected, traditional rule-based systems struggle to keep up with the speed and sophistication of modern risks. Recent research into AI-driven fraud detection shows that a majority of financial institutions are now investing heavily in machine learning models capable of identifying subtle anomalies and emerging threats in real time, patterns that static systems were never designed to detect. What emerges is a new reality. Modern payments no longer function through rigid rules alone. They rely on adaptive intelligence. A Keisatu does not simply make payment systems faster or cheaper. It makes them perceptive. And in a global economy where money moves at the speed of data, perception becomes a form of power. Keisatu and real-time fraud detection. One of the most transformative applications of AI in payments is fraud detection. Traditional fraud systems relied on rule-based engines, simple if atau then logic, that struggled with complex attacks. With Keisatu, models can analyze hundreds of variables: location, device fingerprints, behavior patterns, transaction history, and assess the legitimacy of transactions in milliseconds. In a world that processes millions of transactions every hour, this speed isn't just convenient, it's essential. AI models trained on billions of transactions can spot subtle anomalies a human analyst might miss entirely. Programs like this have become so effective that some institutions now detect and block fraudulent activity before the customer even realizes something was wrong. However, the rise of AI also empowers fraudsters. The same generative AI Satu tools that help financial institutions can be used to create realistic fake identities, synthetic credentials, or even automated attack scripts. McGuire and Hillis point out that the industry must constantly innovate to stay ahead, because threat actors are already using the same capabilities to scale their efforts. Further industry data confirms that AI-driven fraud detection significantly improves both security and customer experience. Major payment companies like MasterCard report that a Keisatu integration has led to far faster and more accurate fraud scoring, scanning over 1 trillion data points and reducing false positives while stopping actual threats. Data as the new currency. At the heart of AI's power is data, not just raw numbers, but contextual, high-quality, real-time information that captures how people actually behave. In modern payment ecosystems, data is no more longer a byproduct of transactions. It is the transaction's most valuable output. Judith McGuire emphasizes that the success of any AI initiative depends less on the sophistication of the model and more on how well data is managed. Companies must ensure data is accessible across systems, structured in ways machines can interpret, and scalable enough to operate at global transaction volumes. Traditional databases were designed for storage. AI-driven systems require data environments designed for learning. This is a fundamental shift. Financial institutions are no longer asking, do we have the data? They are asking, is our data usable, trustworthy, and fast enough to support real-time intelligence? Ian Hillis captures this idea with a simple but powerful metaphor. A Keisatu without data is like a recipe without ingredients. Even the most advanced algorithms cannot produce meaningful insights if the underlying data is fragmented, outdated, biased, or incomplete. In this sense, data quality directly determines decision quality. That is why leading payment providers are investing heavily in data infrastructure, cloud migration, real-time data pipelines, unified customer views, and governance frameworks. These investments are not glamorous, but they are strategic. They determine whether AI becomes a competitive advantage or an expensive experiment. This shift toward data-driven architecture reflects a broader industry pattern. According to PIMNTS research, nearly 3/4 of financial institutions already use Keisatu to combat financial crime. But what's more telling is why they continue to invest. Most believe Keisatu will also drive future revenue, not only by reducing fraud losses, but by increasing operational efficiency, improving approval rates, and enabling more personalized customer experiences. Data allows systems to move from reactive to predictive. Instead of responding after a problem occurs, Keisatu models can anticipate risk, detect behavioral changes, and adapt in real time. This is especially critical in payments, where decisions are often made in milliseconds and mistakes can cascade instantly across networks. But data isn't valuable only for fraud detection. It is foundational to nearly every advanced function in modern finance. Personalization relies on understanding spending habits, preferences, and timing. Risk scoring depends on behavioral patterns, transaction context, and historical outcomes. Real-time decisioning requires continuous data streams that update models as events unfold. And at the frontier lies autonomous or agentic commerce systems where AI agents can initiate, negotiate, and execute transactions on behalf of users without direct human input. In these environments, data becomes a form of delegated trust. The system must understand not just what a user can afford, but what they intend, what they value, and what constraints matter. In this world, data functions as a new currency, exchanged silently in every transaction, shaping outcomes long after the payment is complete. Those who control high-quality data gain disproportionate influence over markets, experiences, and behavior. And as ASAP systems become more embedded in financial infrastructure, the question is no longer whether data matters, but who controls it, how it is used, and to whose benefit. The dawn of agentic commerce. One of the most exciting and potentially disruptive ideas emerging in payments is agentic ASAT, autonomous systems capable of making financial decisions and executing transactions on behalf of users. This concept resembles something out of science fiction, but industry leaders now see it as nearer than ever to reality. Hillis describes agentic commerce as the closest thing I've seen in payments to sci-fi magic. These agents could streamline checkout experiences, minimize cart abandonment, optimize pricing and supplier matches, and even unlock new customer segments. However, leaders also stress that trust will be the defining factor in whether agentic commerce gains consumer confidence. If an AI agent can act on behalf of a consumer, making purchases, negotiating prices, or executing financial flows, the system must be transparent, secure, and reliable. Emerging collaborations are already addressing this. For example, WorldPay's partnership with digital identity platform Trulio seeks to introduce the Know Your Agent framework, a system to authenticate Akisatu agents and verify authority and consent before acting in financial contexts. This digital agent passport aims to ensure merchants and consumers can trust agent-led transactions at scale. This emphasis on agent identity reflects one of the core challenges of autonomous payment systems, ensuring that decisions made by machines reflect authentic human intent rather than arbitrary or unauthorized action. Human oversight, transparency, and trust. Despite AI's remarkable speed and capability, both Maguire and Hillis stress the need for human oversight and governance. Robust guardrails are essential to prevent errors, biases, or opaque decision-making from undermining trust. One major concern is explainability, being able to interpret why an AI system made a particular decision, especially in cases of denial, fraud flagging, or autonomous action. If merchants can't explain outcomes to regulators or customers, the system can backfire. This challenge extends beyond payments into broader AI regulation in finance. Research on AI governance highlights that policy frameworks must balance innovation with fairness, transparency, and systemic risk management, a delicate equilibrium that regulators around the world are still trying to define. Nevertheless, the industry appears committed to building AI systems that are both powerful and accountable, enabling real-time decisions without sacrificing consumer confidence. Future outlook, payment evolution, and consumer experience. Looking forward, AI's influence on payments will only deepen. Industry forecasts indicate that by the end of the decade, global payments revenue could exceed $2.4 trillion, driven by agentic AKSATU, digital currencies, real-time payment rails, and integrated financial platforms. AKSATU is also enabling new consumer experiences, personalized recommendations, conversational shopping, dynamic pricing, and seamless international money movement. By making payments smarter and more adaptive, AKSATU will blur the line between commerce and technology. But the transition won't be without friction. Legacy systems, data silos, regulatory uncertainty, and trust challenges will shape how quickly and broadly these technologies are adopted. Yet one thing is clear, AI is no longer an optional upgrade. It's the foundation upon which the future of global money movement will be built. Closing reflection. So the next time you tap your phone, scan a QR code, or let an app pay for you automatically, remember, there's more happening behind that simple motion than meets the eye. From fraud detection and data analytics to autonomous agents and trust frameworks, AESATU isn't just powering payments, it's rewiring the way money flows globally. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand how technology continues to transform finance, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because the future of money is here and it's intelligent.